You've referred to a national plan, a national program, but from my outsider's point of view, I'm not really feeling that there is a national identity in Nigeria. I see that there are people, maybe when they're outside and when there's a football match, then you're all Nigerians. But otherwise, I see people dividing them among themselves into ethnic groups, into regional affiliations. I mean, how are you going to overcome that?
Let me tell you, those divisions you see are just merely elites, confusion to continue the transaction. It is not the people. Once you create a society where entrepreneurship will thrive, where people's talent will match up the opportunity, where there's less corruption, they're gone. There's nothing there. No tribe today buys food cheaper. None buys bread cheaper. It is the political elite that is manipulating all those things to suit them. And that's what we want to remove.
Well, did you find that when you were campaigning in the north, for example? Because I know you won in Lagos, but then there are a lot of Igbos and South people in Lagos. I don't know, did Yorubas vote for you?
Very well. I can tell you.
And you got a warm... I know some Yorubas who voted for you.
No, they did. They could still reason. We campaigned based on deliverable promises. God said, now, we're going to do this. I expected in the 2 years of this government to deliver and say, we've moved from here to here, and people can feel it.
And let's forget about this one, say 419. What I'm saying is that why did people believe you?
Because they've asked my background, those who have met. I've been a governor, I've been in the corporate world, and I'm sure I met a lot of people who say, well, listen, this is this.
So because I noticed that, I mean, you didn't spend shishi. You didn't spend money. You didn't do what they normally do. You didn't tell us to go and fight or kill and maim at polling station. You know, your whole thing was just, this is me, my name is Peter Obi, and this is what I'm going to do for you. And people seem to believe you. And I'm just, well, certainly in the South, they believed you. I don't know about the North. Were they able to grasp what you were saying?
They did across the country.
Okay, all right.
But we couldn't have enough time to continue to delivering the message and insist. The country needs and all it takes to be a great country. The only thing that is lacking is leadership. What you're seeing here is cumulative effect of leadership failure over the years, which you need to correct. We did 5 flashes here and there of good leadership, but overall, it wasn't above the standard, and now it's even worse.
What's the definition then of good leadership, in your opinion, at the moment for the country? What is it? What would it take?
It's not a rocket science. It's just to have somebody who is competent, who has the capacity, who has the character, the drive and the vision,
and the
to
honesty.
say, I'm going to change this and invest the little resources. Because overall, our resources today, in terms of budgeting, is small for our population. But that was because over the years, instead of investing in critical areas of development, the monies were stolen. So now you don't have that resources to invest. What we need now is to invest our little resources very effectively and efficiently. So we know where the resources are going. If we say we have a food crisis, there's nothing there. We already have 60% of our arable land uncultivated. Like you hear me every day say, we can make more money from agriculture than we made from oil.
And this has come about as an over-dependence upon oil earnings, right?
Because we have developed a sense of sharing and consumption rather than production. That's why I see that I'm going to move the country from consumption to production.
Now, I've read that you're a devout Catholic. How does your faith inform your approach to leadership?
Well, I'm as a Christian. I believe that our humanity, my person, the only contribution that makes meaning in the world is not the amount of money I have. It's not about my wealth. It's not about big houses. It is what impact did I do to help humanity.
You can say that as a wealthy man. You are an established wealthy man, having spent a lot of time in the corporate world successfully.
No. I've always been involved, even in primary school and secondary school. People have seen it when a particular bishop says something about me. I've always believed that we must live in a society where everybody is happy. Everybody knows we're all part of it. Supporting those who are less privileged. I don't look down on people unless I'm going to pull them up. I stop at every inch. As a corporate person, as governor, everybody knows that I come out in the street and talk with people. In fact, if the people are not around me, I'm not doing anything to help humanity, for me life is meaningless.
So how did some people try to make an issue of religion during the election campaign? Did you find that there was any kind of barrier? Again, the North. We were told that, the religion is so important to them, but how did they relate to you?
I can tell you, it's none of the clever things the political elite brought into the picture. And because we were a team that is starting it, we didn't know. So today we have a country that you can call a crime scene, with those who are perpetrating it being hugely involved in propaganda and lies.
So you think that are you talking about the ethnic and religious divisions being propagandized?
They exist, but it is a political elite that are using that as a tool.
Yes, of course.
Because what is happening to us today has nothing to do with religion. I just told you about our GDP and per capita. It has nothing to do with religion.
So when you moved around the country, did you find that the masses that you addressed had pretty much the same concerns wherever you were?
Yes. They were hungry. They want good governance.
Right.
They want their children to go to school.
Right.
They want to have a health system that works.
Right.
But it's not working.
Right.
And how would you harness then this huge swathe of talented, energetic, primarily young Nigerians that we see popping up all over the world doing really interesting things? How are you going to harness their energies and creativity for the benefit of the country?
Let me tell you, we just have to do a study of what happened in Asian countries. In the 80s and 90s, most schools you go all over the world were Asians. Today, they are going back to India.
They're prioritizing education.
Once you create an environment that is secured, create an environment where entrepreneurship can thrive, where there's rule of law. The first investors you get are people from that country who live outside and Once they come back and people can see their profit, foreign investors will follow them. And it's very easy. And people used to come home from America from this. They want to come here and settle. We have better environment and weather than the UK. We have very more better environment.
You get a
Better
very
food.
sorry, sir. You get a very good response when you go out. Diaspora people, you're very
Yes.
every single Uber driver. Every single Uber driver in London
It's an
is
obedience.
obedience.
Yes.
Every single one of them.
So that's the thing. So what I'm saying is that they want to go home.
Once come home.
You need to create the environment for them to come home.
So what's the single biggest thing you can do for
we
them?
get for remittances today nearly as much as we get from oil, if not more. Imagine if you create a conducive environment, educate your people, more and more will go out, you get more in terms of remittances. You get more in terms of attracting investors, which we're not attracting today. You can go there and market yourself and everything. Nobody's going to come to, even if the profit is 100%. What you can call big power generating companies like Siemens, electric and everything. They gave them something like a national guarantee, which allowed them to come in working with smart young people who came out of engineering school in Egypt. If you go all over the place, it's the Egyptians, and we have them here.
Can I take you back to something you said earlier, and that is that I asked you what would be different come 2027, and you said that you hoped that there would be some kind of electoral reform which would tidy up, improve the electoral system. How optimistic are you that this is going to be put in place in time?
Well, very optimistic. However, even without that happening, Nigerians can determine who will win the election. Because this time around, people will vote, stay at the polling booth, make sure that the results are collected, follow it to the ward and the local government. And I don't think they will allow anybody to manipulate it again. Because they will be manipulating further hunger, further distress, lack of education, fair promises, covered with propaganda and lies. No, that's not what they want.
There's a video going around WhatsApp at the moment about what the Ghanaians allegedly did during the last election. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay, well, I won't bother then. It was about how they went. It's from David Hunde, your friend, and he said that they matched violence with violence.
Well,
And
I know that the
I
people-
found that quite disturbing. But he made,
no, listen, I think this time around, the people are not going to be violent. They're going to follow it up. Because they know that the alternative is that hunger, unemployment, everything continues.
and this time around, they won't accept a bag of salt or 2,000 naira to sell 4 years of their lives.
Even if they accept it, it's their money that people stole that they're giving them back. So if they buy them a lunch for one day, well, fine. Eat the lunch and vote your conscience.
Yes. So let's get to the C word, coalition. I'm against. What say you? I'm not against people. I'm okay with the type of coalition where you are the candidate and they all support you. But I'm not okay with all these talk as if everybody's an equal. People who cannot get 10 votes by themselves. Furthermore, I'm just saying this. You partnered with Atiku in 2019. Didn't go that far. You only started Zooming when you went on your own. So I think you're in a difficult position because they don't want to acknowledge you as some someone on a pedestal whom everybody should support. They want you, in fact, even the thought of you being an assistant or deputy or vice is just anathema to your supporters.
Well, for me, the coalition is important. We need to work together.
Yes.
Because we have to have basics of our coalition. For me, I want coalition against hunger, against insecurity.
Donu has alluded to the fact that maybe people in the north are not so keen on voting for somebody from your region. Do you think that Nigeria has overcome the deep tribal divisions, and could we see an Igbo president of Nigeria?
Well, for me, I'm contesting this election of Nigeria. And I believe that there's a lot of potential in our country to be better than it is today. And quite frankly, I said every day, the greatest assets of this country is in the north. The uncultivated land. The oil we are sharing process today is a diminishing asset. Agriculture is not a diminishing asset because people must eat. I will have the land. So if anything, the north will actually celebrate me. Because that's where I'm going. That's where I'm looking at to be able to turn around the country. Because we need to be able, the first foundation we need is to be able to feed ourselves. We cannot have a country like this where we have 60% of our arable land uncultivated, and we're going to import food, beg for food, do everything. You deal with. For me, it might take that was a low-hanging fruit. We need to deal with productivity in terms of manufacturing, which, because of our huge population, companies want to come in, to establish, you need to support them. So these are the weapon all it takes. It's just that we need leadership that can.
It all comes back to leadership, right?
Yes, that's it. That's what changes everything.
Let me take you back to my anger, which, okay, it's not so strong now. What do you say to people who say you're not aggressive enough because you're dealing with wolves?
Well, it depends on how aggressive they want you to go. When people talk about being aggressive, just like some will say, oh, he's weak, oh, he's humble. For me, we are not in a wrestling match.
But you are.
No. We are not in a wrestling match. We are not in a war or competitive something. What we're doing, leadership does not require fighting.
Are you sure?
It requires ideas.
Sir, all the great revolutions of the world have been achieved through some degree of revolution, as far as I know.
I agree, but
what we're dealing with in Nigeria is a need for revolution. In my opinion, I could be wrong, but we're looking at a deeply entrenched predatory elite.
The modern revolutions,
right,
are not always very violent.
Well, not so much.
Some of it. If Nigerians want to change today, we will do it through the ballot. We will vote, stay there, they count it, collect it, announce it.
Okay. All right, so let me ask you, who's your hero? Either as an international foreign person, or an African, or a Nigerian, or it could even be someone humble whom you know personally.
Well, for me, there's so many heroes. I look at it from first, what is your contribution to humanity? What are you doing to make the world better? What are you doing to, so I've gone from following people like Mandela, following so many great minds, Steve Hawkins, who is able and was able to change things in sciences. That's just it. People who make huge sacrifice. That was one of the reasons why I went to see Joko Widodo. Because I could see somebody who took a country from here to here. I could see somebody who made his country better. That's where I say it.
So is he one of your heroes then?
Well, yes, there's so many of them. Because I could see, whether it's Modi in India, people who came from a background of business. Because what we don't do here is people start making noise in the public space, in TV, in newspapers. Nobody asks about their background. Go and check the background of all those who are doing well. Whether it's Modi in India, whether it's Joko Widodo and everything. They came from a background where they've been able to create wealth. If you have not created wealth, you can't manage one. It's simple. You have a background where you can say, this is this person's background. But what we have in Nigeria is that because it's a transitional society, people go about promising people or giving them money, and they say, oh, the man can do it. It doesn't have the competency to do it.
Well, is it true that you own Fidelity Bank, or at least you're a substantial shareholder?
No, I'm a shareholder.
Okay. And
The bank
also?
The bank is no bank in Nigeria. Okay, let me use Fidelity. There are 550 something thousand shareholders.
Right.
So I couldn't have been the owner. I passed through there as the director and chairman.
Right.
Like every other shareholder, I own my own little shares. That's all.
So, but you've done very well with business, in other branches of entrepreneurship. What qualities enabled you to do that? I mean, I can tell you why I'm not rich. There are certain weaknesses that some of us have. We never have money we would die for. But what special qualities enabled you to be successful financially, which we hope you can transfer to the national stage?
Let me take it this way. First is that as a businessman, you manage resources more efficiently and effectively by knowing fully well there's no waste.
Right.
We are so wasteful as a government today.
Right.
And resources are not applied to critical areas of development. And because I came from that background, when I was a governor, I made sure that Anambra money was spent wisely. And again, safe and safe. So I'm not going to be a governor or a president renovating mansions to live in. That is not where it should be. It is not necessary because it's not a critical area of development. I invested money in education, in health. I've opened up rural areas so they can bring food out. As they say, dining street is 3 bedroom. 3 bedroom. In a terrace house. In a terrace house, 3 bedroom. You go today, there's no official residence for governor of Massachusetts, where you have Harvard and MIT. You come from your house. As a governor, I lived in a place that had only 2 or 3 rooms. It doesn't make any difference.
So is it true you don't have a house in Abuja or Lagos?
Yes.
So your only house is in your home state?
Yes, because I believe that that's where I should live. So that people can now see you when you don't have all those trappings of office, police pushing people, and you listen to them.
And you move around without security. You're not afraid? Because I would say that I know people who are part of the existing power structure who do feel quite threatened by you.
Well, I don't know I'm not threatening anybody. I know. For me, all I want is a better Nigeria. I want a Nigeria where people's talent and hard work will match up the opportunity.
So you don't feel
where they would stop stealing public money.
You don't feel you're at risk. You move around without security. People are always shocked. My colleague Eniola, the young man, he bumped into you last week. He sent me a picture. So you don't feel that one day someone could come and gun you down.
We're all at risk. Everybody's at risk because the place is insecure. That's what I'm talking about, security. We're all at risk. And for me, the only person that gives life and take it is God.
So, what's your favorite book, favorite music? Let's get some of who is Peter Obi in his spare time.
Spare time.
That's
That's the problem.
I wanted to say that I really don't have a spare time because, if you go around here,
But you must there must be books and TV
oh
shows.
yes,
And
I
music that you
read.
like.
I read.
Please don't tell me you only read economics books.
No, I read. So those who said are my heroes, I read about them. I read developmental books. What I'm reading now is what is it called again? Professor Lewis' book on growing apart, Nigeria and Indonesia. It's a lovely book.
I met your wife a couple of times, lovely Mrs. Obi. No cruises on the Caribbean with Margaret?
No. I've never had a holidays in the past.
No holidays.
How can you be cruising when your house is on fire? Now that's what happened in Titanic. That's what the people are doing in Nigeria. Because people on the upper deck were busy dancing when the thing was sinking. They didn't even know. So that's what we're doing. You must stop that. Because this place is sinking. It's not a place to celebrate.
I think that we've gone around the houses, around the Peter Obi house, and I've got a very good idea of who is sitting beside us. Have you?
Yes, absolutely.
So Peter Obi, I'd like to thank you very much indeed.